Another canceled basketball game. When will the boys return to the basketball court? The importance of Cam Brown returning for another season and the truth about NIL. All that and more in this episode of Locked On Buckeyes.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Buckeye fans? Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Buckeyes for the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. It is Monday, December 20th in the year 2021, and today's episode is brought to you by Sonos. Sonos is the official sponsor of the ESPN College Football. Go to Sonos.com to learn more. Upon the announcement that Saturday's game against Kentucky was canceled in the CBS Sports Classic, I started to think and wonder, would Ohio State be on the court against UT Martin on Tuesday evening? Of course, you cancel one game. You're hoping things are kind of rolling out and changing and altering for the better so the players could get back on the court and play the sport that they love. Unfortunately, another game has been canceled for the Ohio State Buckeye basketball team. It's Christmas. Boy, they just finished finals. There's a lot of good things going on with the team academically, but unfortunately, their athletic season has been halted due to COVID-19. The Ohio State Athletic Department put out a press release on Sunday. I want to read that to you because there's some interesting information about how the team is going to handle COVID-19 and when the team might be on the court next. Quote, the Ohio State University's men's basketball's home game versus UT Martin on Tuesday, December 21st, has been canceled due to continued COVID-19 concerns within the Buckeye basketball program. The game will not be rescheduled. The safety and well-being of the student-athletes, coaches, staff, and Ohio State community continue to remain the highest priority. All team-related activities will remain suspended, and the players and staff will continue to be tested according to Ohio State protocols in consultation with the Big Ten Conference. All fans who had purchased tickets to the game throughout the Ohio State ticket office and Ticketmaster.com will be refunded and will receive direct communication via email with more information. The status of future games is to be determined. That right there, not the final line, the part before that, when you were planning on going to the game and you had tickets and you were wondering about when you would get your money back or if you would get your money back, check your email because there might be an email there about you getting a refund for that game. But the final part is very interesting. The future status of games is to be determined. Of course, you have to say that. Those are things that I would expect with you canceling a game Saturday, which would have been the 18th, and you're canceling a game the 21st. That quick turnaround, of course, when you're testing once again, the players actually got tested again on Sunday. So when you're testing as frequently as they are currently, you kind of expect once one person or one game has gotten canceled, there's a likelihood that if the next game is within the next 3 to 5 games, that game will be canceled as well. There's something interesting that I think I'm waiting to hear about. Because as we know, when the NFL last year did their own thing, but as you know, when you're not playing a sport and you can't practice since all team activities have been suspended, I wonder how many practices the team needs to go through or a player needs to go through before they're declared eligible to play in the next game. Not academically eligible, but physically eligible, because you're not going to be playing basketball with your team. You might be able to get individual workouts if you are not testing positive. If you keep testing negative, those individual workouts might be able to be done. Of course, not with the team, but you might have to be on your own doing those things. I am just very, very curious about the very next time they'll get back on the court. I hope everybody's okay. I heard last week there was one player that had symptoms. Everybody else had tested positive before the Kentucky game. Everybody there was not showing symptoms, which is a good thing. However, whenever you are positive, the team has to handle things in their own way. One thing the Big Ten is doing is allowing schools to monitor and dictate their own protocols as far as how they're going to respond to COVID-19. Ohio State, the campus, people have to be vaccinated to be in school. If you're inside the arena, of course, players, referees, broadcasters, coaches, they're not wearing masks. But if you are inside the arena for a game, you need to be wearing a mask there. They have their own protocols there. I'm curious what the Big Ten's going to do, or if the NCAA is going to step in, which is very unlikely. Not because I'm negative on the NCAA. I just don't think they're going to step into this situation because there's so many schools around the country that are testing positive and games are being canceled. This is not the only team that has had games canceled, back-to-back games, or just any games at all. Penn State had games canceled. I mentioned, I believe UCLA was the other team in the CBS Sports Classic where they had COVID-19 concerns inside their basketball program, and so they're supposed to play the North Carolina Tar Heels. That game got canceled, and so North Carolina and Kentucky just played each other in Vegas because they had no concerns about COVID. So why don't they just go ahead and play each other? It makes a lot of sense. I wonder if there will be a point in time that the Big Ten or Ohio State will alter their protocols, because if things keep going down this road, this trajectory, and they keep going on and saying, hey, we're going to respond this way to COVID and respond that way to COVID, and we're not altering our protocols or the things we're supposed to be doing. Players are vaccinated, and players are scheduled or will be getting boosters based off an article that I read towards the end of the week. All those things are going to happen, but I wonder if at some point the Ohio State Buckeye athletic department or even the Big Ten Conference take the NCAA out of it. If somebody steps in and says, this is what's going to happen, we're going to alter our protocols so games don't continue to get canceled. I don't know. These are just things I think about because people want to make money, and basketball games make money, and basketball games are what those players are looking to play once they're there. Now, I understand COVID's there. Players might be sick. I get all that stuff. But at some point, I'm curious because the NFL, I believe, is changing some of their protocols. The NBA is changing some of their protocols. I wonder if the Big Ten Conference or Ohio State begins to slightly alter their protocols for COVID-19 because they have more information. People are following what they're being asked to do, and people are continuing to test positive and get infected with COVID-19, doing everything that's being asked to prevent people from getting COVID-19, and it's getting there once again. Either they're going to get more stringent, tighten things up, or they're going to just alter things because, I don't know, things just seem a little bit odd. People following the rules, and the same result, the result that they don't want to happen, is happening. The game against UT Martin on Tuesday is canceled. I'm looking forward to seeing the boys back on the court once again because this team, baby, they're really, really good. Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Buckeyes here on a Monday, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. I want to thank every person out there for making Locked On Buckeyes their first listen of every single day. And for those of you that are watching via YouTube right now, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you're notified every time a new video is uploaded, as well as hit the like button on this video, as well as every video that you have watched. It's a great way to help the show grow, help the channel grow, and it's free. I like free. You like free. I'm sure everybody here likes free things. Will help the show grow via your help in a free way. When Cam Brown decided to return to or announced that he was going to decide to return to the Ohio State Buckeye football team for another season, there were certain things that went through a lot of players' minds, I'm sure. I'm happy he's here. We need him. Burke on one side, Brown on the other, Proctor back. These are things that I cannot wait to see. But I think it's deeper than people realize based off some things that have happened via recruiting. And as I look at the depth chart, not the official depth chart, but just the way things have gone throughout the season and players that have transferred and some things that have happened via recruiting, I firmly think that some things that are going on right now with this team, players that have gone to another school, players that have transferred, these are things that are very, very key. And why I think this decision by Cam Brown to return is even bigger than people initially thought it was. Think about this. There's players that people thought would be at Ohio State next year or had the possibility of being at Ohio State next year, and they're not going to be there. Ryan Watts entered the transfer portal. I think Ryan Watts is going to be a good player somewhere. I think he has signs and he has flashes of good play. He has some things he needs to work on, but I do think Ryan Watts, wherever he lands next, will be a good football player. Ohio State had three guys that they thought, two that they thought were going to commit, another one that was on the verge of committing and then not committing. Terrence Brooks, we talked about this last week. Terrence Brooks ended up committing to the University of Texas. Texas came in late towards the end and scooped him up. Xavier Nwampa, I hope I said his name correctly, ended up committing to Iowa and signing with Iowa. And then Zion Branch, Ohio State did not get him. He signed with the USC Trojans. Think about those four players. Now, I don't think that any of the three, Branch and Nwampa or Brooks, was going to start next year. However, when you lose three guys like that, hey, one of them might be a Denzel Burke come in, be thrust into a starting role out of necessity due to players being injured and things of that nature. The next thing you know, he is a star. He is a player that is somebody you could count on in crucial moments to make big plays. Ryan Watts not being there, that's very key. Because as I look at the depth chart for the Ohio State Buckeyes, it's very interesting when I see who's going to be in school next year, who will not be in school next year. At the cornerback position, you got Denzel Burke, you got Cam Brown, you got Legend Cavazos. And as I'm looking at the depth chart on this website here, that's it. Marcus Hooker is still on the team, I do believe. I don't believe he's been kicked off or into the transfer portal, but he's not a corner. Lathan Ransom is still on the team, but he's more of an inside guy, a cover safety. You got Cam Martinez and Bryson Shaw, but I don't believe either one of them is going to start next year. They're also not cornerbacks. So when you look at just some initial thoughts and initial looks at the depth chart right now for Ohio State, the thing for Cam Brown to come back is possibly even bigger than anybody thought it was. Think about your playing career. If you were an athlete, either younger or in your 20s, or maybe you even play rec, maybe you play for your church softball league, or maybe you play basketball in an adult league, whatever you might do. Think about that one player that you know there's a possibility of him leaving the team at the end of the season. You may have had the same team 3 years in a row, may have won a championship, may have gotten to the championship another year, or whatever it is. You have that one player on your team. He's very, very, very good. Maybe not your leading scorer. Maybe not the guy that you would think is going to be somebody that is a go-to player in crunch time to hit a bucket if you're playing basketball. But he's good. He's a good basketball player. Let's stick with basketball. I love basketball, so let's roll forward with it. All of a sudden, after 3 years playing with him, he decides, there's a thought that him and his family might be moving out of town for a job. He's been applying for jobs elsewhere to try to better his family, prepare for better move forward with his future. Maybe it might be a career challenge, or maybe it might be a career change where he has been in the same career for quite a long time that all of a sudden, time for a change, time to alter things, and he is deciding, hey, I'm going to be leaving. So at the end of the season, in the middle of the playoffs, he tells you, hey, y'all, I might be out of here. Wait, what? Whoa, what do you mean you might be out of here? Yeah, man, there's a job opportunity a few states away. Let's just say you're in Ohio and then you're going over to down to Georgia, down to Georgia. There's a job opportunity down there in Georgia. It's a career change. Pay is better than what I'm currently at right now. With my experience from my current job, I'm able to transfer or get this job and still get a promotion. It's really an amazing thing when you think about everything that goes into changing careers. It's great. It's an amazing type of thing. And the players on the team, they're like, wait, whoa. Time out. Hold up, Seinfeld. What is going on? You're leaving us? Now, it's his life. Football is life. This is their lives. But these are also, when you're an adult, you're used to people moving to better themselves. At Ohio State, you're used to people leaving to go to play football and to have a future in the National Football League. Better yourself playing in the NFL, better yourself and your family by moving from Ohio to Georgia. And then all of a sudden, right before your last game, you're preparing for it. It's the middle of that week before your final game. All of a sudden, that guy that comes in, that's a big piece of your team, not the leading scorer, but still somebody that you really want to ride with throughout every single season while you're there. All of a sudden, you hear he comes in and he's like, hey, y'all, I ain't going nowhere. Wait, what? I ain't going nowhere. Why? Just things did not line up properly. Me and the hiring manager were talking and talked more about what I was looking for and what they were looking for. And ultimately, what we both thought, myself and the hiring manager thought would be a great opportunity for me and my family. Ultimately, this is not the right time to make that move. Cameron Brown has dealt with his fair share of injuries. He's dealt with his fair share of setbacks. However, him staying in school is just like that one young man or that gentleman that's an adult that thought he was going to Georgia, then staying in Ohio because, hey, what I thought was going to be a great opportunity for me, this ain't the right time for it, so I'm staying right here where I am and continuing to look for better opportunities to better myself and better my family. Cam Brown staying in school, there might be a silly analogy or connection, but I think it's something we can all relate to. That part right there, Cam Brown staying in school, Burke on one side, Brown on the other, Proctor back at free safety, Ronnie Hickman on the field. This team can be really, really good. What could be or could have possibly been a weakness for the Ohio State football team, not knowing who was going to be there, could be one of the strengths on defense. You are locked on Buckeyes here on a Monday, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. For every person out there watching via YouTube or listening to the audio version of the podcast, if you're driving, don't do this. But once you stop driving, take a picture of your dash once you stop and you listen to while you're listening to the podcast, take a picture of your dash of your player in your car. Tweet that thing out. Tag me at jstevens07. Put it in your Instagram story at jstevens07 on the Instagram. Put it there. I'll share it in my story. I'll retweet that thing as well. Let every person know where you get your information for the Ohio State Buckeyes football and basketball teams. Locked on Buckeyes every Monday through Friday. Before I forget, I want to give a quick shout out to a young lady that just got drafted into the NWSL, Miss Izzy Rodriguez, one of 9 individuals that I believe it's nine individuals that got drafted into the NWSL over the weekend. Very happy for them. Very happy for Izzy and the other young women that played Big Ten soccer that got drafted to a professional sport that they love. It's a great time of year, a great journey for these young women. And I'm looking forward to seeing what these young ladies do and what the entirety of the entire group of players that plays in the NWSL couldn't get the words out, finally got it. It's a growing league. It's a fun league. If you are able to watch or go to a National Women's Soccer League game, I encourage you to do that. Soccer is a fun sport to watch. There's been a lot of talk lately about NIL, name, image, and likeness, the endorsement deals. Basically, that's what it is. The endorsement deals that these young men and women, because it's not just exclusively to the men, also the women that are collegiate athletes can sign. Now, there are restrictions. There are things they can do. There are things they can't do. I'm sure in the NFL, I haven't looked into it, but I'm sure there are things they can do. There are things they can't do as far as endorsement deals and things of that nature. Ohio State has to, if you get an endorsement deal, Ohio State has to approve said deal. It's not just something where you can go out, get your own deals, approve it yourself without running it by the athletic department or the proper people inside that department to make sure you're complying with the school so that the school and you are on the same page about this new NIL deal. Recently, Jimbo Fisher was on the Paul Feinbaum show on SEC Network. Paul Feinbaum, a long time radio host, sports talk radio host there in the South, talking primarily SEC football. Of course, there's other sports he talks about, but it's mainly football down to the South because they sure love their football. And Jimbo Fisher made a comment kind of laughingly while talking to Paul Feinbaum, and he said, NIL deals have been going on for a very long time. This is not the exact quote, more so paraphrasing. NIL deals have been going on for a very long time. It's just now things are not being swept under the rug. They were being done illegally behind closed doors, and nobody told nobody. That last line was what he exactly said. Nobody told nobody. You can go back and look on your computer Look on your phone, go to the Google, go to the Safari, and just look up different things. Say, how many players have gotten suspended for taking money illegally? You can go back to the 1950s. I believe a few Oklahoma players got suspended for taking money even back in the 1950s. Now, Oklahoma has done it. We all know Reggie Bush got caught. Players down in Miami during their heyday, not just in the late 90s, early 2000s, 90s, 80s. Once the University of Miami started to build that program into being what that dynasty was, we've seen a 30 for 30. We know they were getting stuff illegally, but nobody told nobody. It was one of those things that was just done, and nobody said what was done. Florida State, I am sure there have been Ohio State players, multiple players at Ohio State, that have received money illegally because the NCAA says you can't take that money. We're going to restrict you on the things you can do, you cannot do via endorsements and via people that you know. Chase Young got in trouble for something. I thought that was really stupid of the NCAA. Another thing that's really weird about the NCAA, they don't govern the body of college football at the FBS level, D1A level, but they can still suspend players for things like what Chase Young did. Very, very confusing. Very confusing, but that's just the way college football and the NCAA continue to get down. NIL, I don't know how much players were getting paid back in the day or how much illegally was getting put under the table. People say down south it happens. I know it happens in the Midwest. I know it happens in in Texas and Oklahoma and Nebraska and all those schools that were amazing. I'm probably sure that 5 years ago Nebraska was nothing. I'm sure these players are still getting paid. Why? Because it was always done under the table and nobody told nobody. NIL is nothing new. One thing I think the NCAA dropped the ball on is instantly putting regulations and guidelines for NIL. There are other things the NCAA has dropped the ball on, but consistent or instantly putting guidelines and saying, okay, great, you can make money off of NIL deals. Great. That's no problem. But here's what we're going to do. Since you're under our watch, since you are an NCAA athlete, we are going to make guidelines for you to follow. The money, you can get your own deals, but they got to fit under this criteria. If it does not fit under said criteria, you can't take that. I am not really a big proponent of knocking and speaking all the negative on the NCAA. So many other people do that way too much. I'm not going to do that here. Many people, and you may be somebody that says, hey, yeah, I'm going to knock the NCAA for everything they do. I believe it's a corrupt organization, blah, 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 blah. You can do that yourself, not blah, blah, blah. There are things that are bad about the NC2A. Jay Stevens is not going to do that. But I do think the NCAA needs to, or somebody out there needs to put some regulations on this NIL deal. Now, I'm not saying put a cap on how much money these young men can make. I don't think that's the right move. Is it possibly? Now, they could get different than the NIL, but will the NCAA say, hey, we're going to up or we're going to pay you as employees? These players already get cost of attendance stipends already. They're already getting monthly checks, but now are they going to up that, or are they going to say, well, you get your cost of attendance stipend, that's that amount, and then we're going to pay you this amount every month? What about the volleyball? What about the soccer? What about the baseball? What about those sports that don't bring in any money? Are you going to knock them down? Of course, the NCAA can find a way to help everybody involved via getting paid more money monthly if they want to. They wanted to start with NIL because their backs were against the wall. Florida and some other states are going to go forward with collegiate athletes being able to make money via NIL, and the NCAA decided to not put down any regulations, any rules, no compliance department, and we're seeing the way things are going right now. From centers, offensive center, offensive tackle, D tackle, nose tackle, outside linebacker, free safety to the quarterback. Everybody could get into the piece of the pie. Everybody could make money. The one thing I know that college students need is structure. One thing the NCAA has dropped the ball on in regards to NIL is structure. It has it going on for a very, very, very long time. NCAA has known players have been getting money illegally for a very, very long time. We laughed about Tennessee when they got caught handing out money in McDonald's bags. We laughed about it. We laughed about that moment. But now all of a sudden, when NCAA can make things better for everybody under their watch. Once again, they're not doing that. NIL, not a bad thing. It's been going on for a very long time. But now the NCAA needs to step up and do something they don't normally do. Make rules and follow them. Because if not, this little thing called NIL and these endorsement deals, whoo-wee, it could get wild. You guys, this has been fun. We're on a Monday. We're going to roll through all week long. The plan for tomorrow is to air a preview, kind of initial look at the Rose Bowl between Ohio State and Utah. The young man, one of the co-hosts from Locked On Utes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, we recorded a crossover episode. We'll air that tomorrow, an early look at Utah, what they bring to the table, what Ohio State brings to the table, and everything in between. You can follow me on Twitter at jstevens07. You can send all your emails to jstevens317@gmail.com. For Jay Stevens, this is a Monday for Locked On Buckeyes. We'll be back tomorrow.